And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Speaking Bluntly podcast. This is Carlos, aka CJ, and I am here with Kim McCarthy from Harvest Plume magazine and also the Cannabis sessions. And welcome to our podcast. And Kim, welcome. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. Just a little forewarning. The behind the scenes, I said, I'm shoveling food in. I'll be right in. I'm hoping that was enough of a sponge to soak up all the caffeine I've had. I'm a
Yeah.
little talkative.
Well, that's okay. I'm glad you are. We already have one listener that's joining in. So we have TJ Kuba 1. So, hey, TJ, thank you for joining our live stream. We appreciate it.
Hey.
Yeah. So we're experiencing some new technology. So if something goes wrong, you can blame it on me. But I'm excited to be using this. I think it's a lot better interface and a lot more interactive for our audience as well.
Fun. We'll be like, monkeys just kind of toying around. What's this do?
That's what I figured out. And if we mess up majorly, we can always blame it on the technology and not us.
Yeah.
Kim, there's another one joining that's saying hello. So,
hey, Ashish.
Yeah.
Ashish is my partner in India.
He's
my
nice.
partner from India on the pipeline strategies and the pipeline recruiting.
Nice.
And he's also, of course, in India,
Mm-hmm.
they're very hemp friendly. And he and I have been talking on the back end about how we can keep the dialogue going outside of our culture.
Absolutely.
The American culture.
Ashish, I'm Carlos. It's nice to meet you virtually. Perhaps maybe someday I'll get the honor and privilege of meeting you in person. But anyway, yeah, let's kick it off. It's been a week, and it's always exciting. Lots of going on. So how's your week been, and what have you been up to, and what new exciting things have you been facing this week?
In terms of what's on my agenda, it's really more on the pipeline strategies and the pipeline recruiting side. From the back end, it's all prepping for the magazine launch. So November 1st is just around the corner.
November 1st. Oh my gosh, it's crazy to think we're talking about November 1st already, isn't it? I mean,
isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, so many fun and exciting things that I'm looking forward to coming out in the cannabis sessions. One of which I sent you a quick link on. I'm so excited about this. Did you see that?
I want to pull it up, but I'm going to do a screen share so that way our audience can see it and follow along as well. So let me bring that up real quick, and it should bring it both up for both of us to see. So let's do this and this. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so our audience should be able to follow along as well.
I think that's absolutely amazing. All these wonderful products and technologies that are coming out of a simple little plant. This is the first time I've seen it about music.
Yeah, so I'm a music fan. I'm a huge music fan, and when I looked at it appears to be two 12-inch subwoofers, and it's enclosed in a fixture that typically is encased in wood. However, that potentially could be hemp, and then typically behind the subwoofers is insulation of some sort, which again they could potentially use hemp for it. So again, this is another great example, and this comes from Steve Hoffman that. This is Morris. I know Morris. I've not personally, but I've interviewed Morris before. So entrepreneurs, Morris Beagle may better be known as the producer of the world's largest hemp-centric conference and trade show. Obviously, we know him from the Northern Colorado Hemp Expo, which is held each year in Denver. And it appears that with his new company, Silver Mountain Hemp Guitars, he's combining two passions in addition to leading the Northern Colorado show as a number of other hemp-related activities over the past year. So again, it appears, Kim, that this is going directly into hemp guitars and also the speaker cabinets and everything. Wow, this is truly amazing. It really is.
I'm so excited to hear from the professionals, because I wouldn't know. I don't have a discriminating palate in that regard. but knowing how, oh, this is a better performing speaker or a richer sound, or, I just think this is so cool. Just so many things keep coming out.
It is cool, and I think what we will see is just other emerging technologies utilizing hemp. To think that we're just kind of in the infant stages, if you will, of hemp, its applications, whether industrial, whether CBD, who knows? The sky's the limit. Think of, gosh, every industry. Think of airline, and they state that like hemp is, in terms of the incorporating into like fiberglass or replacing fiberglass, that it's much more durable, much more stronger. So the
Impact
aerospace industry,
resistant.
huh?
Impact resistant.
Yeah, yeah.
Rockers can't destroy the guitar anymore.
Listen, they're like banging it, like, Bill, what's wrong with this crazy guitar? It won't break. And we're like, oh, it's a hemp guitar.
But doesn't this remind you of, well, staying on the music theme, if you're as old as I am, when CDs first came
I think
out?
I'm older than you.
I don't know. I'm 50.
We can talk offline if you want.
I'm 53.
I've been told it's not polite to ask a woman their age, so I don't want to ask, and then all of a sudden everyone is everyone is like, oh, look at Carlos asking a woman what her age is. But anyway, yeah. So
mid-50s. See, I say it now because I'm at that point of I don't give a shit.
Yeah. Hey, and we have another listener. We have another listener joining, and that's Kim and Paul. Or I'm sorry, Paul and Lisa from the Series Report. And hi, CJ and Kim. Love the guitars and amp. Absolutely. What's the cost to make them? Paul, we'll have to assess that, and maybe we can get Morris Beagle scheduled to answer that question. But Kim and Paul are joining us from the UK, so we have an international audience already. They're based out of the UK, and yeah, they're great people. I'll be attending their wedding next July in the UK in London, so I'm excited to do that. So welcome, Paul and Lisa.
How fun. Yeah, welcome. Yeah. And congratulations in advance, Paul and Lisa.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, I interrupted you. So regardless of the age and everything, we were talking about hemp, and I interrupted you, and we probably have lost our thoughts since then.
No, it's dementia hasn't kicked in yet. I still got it. So
I'd say it's CRS. It's not dementia, it's CRS. Do you know what CRS is?
No.
Can't remember shit.
Oh, yeah. See, apparently we've become more comfortable with each other in our language. So
yeah,
speak my language, sir.
Yeah.
But do you remember when CDs first came out?
Absolutely.
And I remember thinking, what are they thinking? I no longer have to use a pencil to rewind or stick the tape back in. It's virtually indestructible, and they will never be able to top this. And now it's all downloadable and streaming, and so that's my thinking on. Here we are in the beginning of coming back to the beginning of this. At the beginning of this emerging industry, and what all's popping up now really are the obvious things. There's going to be so many more coming out in ways we won't even realize, and how it's going to impact our lives. Something as simple as a CD.
Yep, absolutely. Interesting. Not getting on too much of a tangent or getting too far out of our conversation, but did you know for this year, and I've read this in two different publications, but this year vinyl records sales is going to outpace CD sales for the first time in several, who knows how many years, going back to vinyl. And I think that's pretty darn exciting. And most people don't understand it. And I don't understand. Paul from the Series Report probably going to explain it more. But when you listen to CDs and you listen to the digital version of it, the CD it's much better as far as durability and storing the music, but the sound is very monotone. It's very flat in terms of the acoustical range, and so for that reason, a vinyl album, it's much more on the spectrum of the acoustics, is much higher quality sound than you could ever get from CD. But I find that very interesting that we're going retro. Like not only is hemp is starting to be produced again and going back in time to when hemp used to be a very viable crop here in the United States, but also people are going back to vinyl. Now, if they go back to 8-track chem or reel to reel, I don't think so, but I can support the vinyl movement.
I wish more of our listeners and followers actually know what an 8-track is. And so I remember a comedy show by Sinbad, and he was talking about what it was like. You don't know the pain of listening to a song on 8-track. And you have to drive around the block until you can get, because if you switch tracks, you may be in the middle of something. So
Right.
you have to know where you are. Otherwise, you're driving around for a while.
There was none of that. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Do you remember the mini records that you could get? That was it a 33 where you could get the single song. You know, they had
Yeah,
the larger records, and then they had the small. I can't remember what those were called. Were they called 33?
45s.
45s? Was that what it was called?
The
Okay.
33s were the LPs, the long plays.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. But
And you
anyway,
had to
yeah.
have that plastic disc with
Mm-hmm.
pop in the middle.
Yep.
Otherwise, it just swing
You
around in
couldn't.
an
Yeah, you couldn't
oblong.
spin it. Yeah. 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 It's amazing to see all those coming back, and we before we started talking about music and everything, we talked about hemp and the future of applications and what it's being utilized for. And so that I think in part, with the work that we're doing in terms of trying to spread that message and it amazes me that the amount of people that we are reaching. And last week I was visiting the southern part of the state, southeastern part of the state, and it was family members, and they were sharing that, hey, by the way, hemp was being grown in this part by this particular farmer. And then last night I had a family friend reach out to me via text saying, hey, I have 20 acres and I'm interested in starting to do some hemp and everything. So that the message and the growth of the industry is going to be tremendous the next several years. And it's a good thing, I think, in part, if we can bring more players into it and get other people involved in the industry, exploring the industry, what it's about. And we spoke last week about some caution flags about just being careful jumping into it, because as much as people will maybe want to do it financially to get involved, you just got to be specific and target. And we're going to help by doing that, Kim. I hope that at some point we can reach out to other people and bring them onto our podcast, and the people that have been in the industry for a while, and they can kind of share their stories.
That's the big part is we have like neon signs that are pointing to the cannabis closet from the inside saying this way out. So it's so awesome to have your family coming out and being proud to say, hey, guess what we're doing? We have 20 acres, and guess how we're getting involved in either the industry or in health or improving things, sustainability. How can you go into this industry with a negative impact and intention? I don't think you can.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and part, I think, in regards to the industry and the growth of it outside of the CBD world and more into the industrial applications of hemp, just trying to help educate in terms of the legislatures, regarding hemp and the testing of it. And, it's been a struggle in a lot of states to establish that testing criteria, for hemp, and what does it look like? The thresholds that they're allowing for hemp, and the threshold of when it, quote unquote, goes hot, where it goes over that 3% threshold, which I don't think it's universal across all states. I think there's some variances, but definitely in the way that people are testing, and then those testing protocols. And in some situations, the states haven't even really determined what that testing protocol is and who is doing the testing. So it needs to catch up in certain aspects of it. And the last thing that I want is a farmer or somebody investing a significant amount of money and resources and time into harvesting and growing hemp, and all of a sudden it gets hot, or they have to destroy it, all those things. So I think that there's a responsible way of growing the industry, and I'm hoping that our legislatures can catch up with it, because the movement, there's so many people excited about it, but yet there's still some bureaucrats who want to put up obstacles and red tape to kind of curtail the growth of the industry.
Now, I am curious, if you don't mind me getting into your personal side, how does this affect your business? You know, all of what you just said.
Oh, we only have a certain amount of time, Kim. We'll have to. No, I'm just kidding. Well, in part,
Bob, I'd like to pass this on to John.
yeah, and in full disclosure, yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, full disclosure, I am in the industry, and that's why I love doing the podcast, because anyone at this stage of the game, there are some more seasoned veteran players who have a lot more experience than a lot of other people who've been in it for a while. But those quote unquote experts are still building that information, and so you have to be cautious around who's saying, hey, I'm an expert at this and everything, because we're all still learning. This industry is just so new. So in regards to one of the most significant is just in regards to how the FDA is going to look at CBD, and that's the $1 million question. So right now, in terms of my edibles company, which is my CBD edibles, which is our brand, Elisa's Pieces, our manufacturing division, we just have to be real careful because we're operating in a gray area. And there's several people that say, hey, you can't infuse any type of food or beverage with CBD because the FDA says it's illegal. Where I challenge that thought and challenge that perspective is more of what the FDA has kind of stated, is that they're more concerned about people making any type of health claims in regards to CBD. So,
Right.
How you're marketing and how you're promoting, and I do support that. I've seen different organizations, CBD companies, most of them being multi-level marketing companies, MLMs, who have very aggressive sales representatives who are saying, hey, this is going to cure your cancer, this is going to cure your disability, all that. And I think that for that reason, I think that there does need to be some responsibility in terms of truth in advertising. I think that I support that. So that's one aspect of it. In fact, the FDA was supposed to do a webinar today to discuss some of their findings in regards to CBD, but they postponed it till October 31st. So we're kind of cautiously waiting until the FDA comes out and gives the guidelines. If you want to ask my personal opinion of where I think it's going to come into play, I really think that some of the companies that are manufacturing some of the very high levels or amounts of CBD, 1,000 milligrams, 2,000 milligrams, because there's not everyone needs that, right? Not everyone needs to have an intake of 5,000 milligrams of CBD per day or 2,000. You're wasting your money if you're starting out at that high of a level. Where I think that for the way I approach this industry is, I believe, from a manufacturing perspective, I believe that small batch is better, where you can control the quality of the product that you're producing, the inventory, the labeling, and then you can also pivot in case you need to, in case there's any type of regulations that change things. And I think that that's potentially where the FDA may come in and say, hey, if you're manufacturing anything above 100 milligrams, then this is the protocol for those going forward. For those of you that are manufacturing less, and again, that's complete speculation. I don't have any insider information to tell any differently. So we're just kind of we're growing and we're scaling, but at the same time, we're using a lean manufacturing process to ensure that in case we do have to pivot, we don't have to change out our entire manufacturing, our supply side to match that. So there are some things that coming into the industry and being new, that you have to have some some thoughts into how you're going to approach things.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I always find it fascinating, since I'm not involved in manufacturing, processing, distribute, none of that. But I talk to the people who are. So to hear it, especially, from Indiana versus other geographies, that's I guess my first,
Yeah, and I can give you a couple of examples. I always go around to different CBD stores and I'll purchase different products. And, CBD is by far probably one of the most exciting things that, everything's exciting about it, but the CBD is capturing the hype right now of hemp, right? It truly is. And just from a consumer perspective, when we talk a lot about that, is that, one of the things I do advocate for, and I'm not sure if you can see that, is this is not my product, but this is just by putting a QR code on your products. And For a consumer, in the state of Indiana, we do mandate for products that are sold in the state of Indiana to have the QR code, and that links to the testing results. And I think that that's very important, because what you want to, as a consumer, ensure that if you're buying a product that's supposed to have 100 milligrams of CBD, you should be able to go verify that and scan that product. And I think that that's something that potentially could become like a manufacturing, best practice or labeling requirement across the states, is to make sure to ensure that products that are manufactured, and that could be whether it's CBD or CBD and THC and infused products, that they have that scanning. I think for the safety of customers and for customers to be able to validate what specifically is in product, there's been certain tests that have been conducted on products that state they have like 250 milligrams of CBD, and they send it off for testing and there's no CBD in it at all.
Oh. Okay, we just found that loophole. Earlier I said, who would come into the industry? And yeah, okay, you just found it.
Yeah, so I think, again, from a consumer perspective, I think that obviously number one is safety. Second part is that truth in advertising. I don't want to see anyone get harmed through this. I don't want to see people making false claims. I don't want to see people telling people to stop necessarily taking their medication because CBD is this great cure-all. It's a great topic, and it's reason for debate as well, because I know that our industry is so excited to talk about those things. And there's a great podcast, and I think it's called the Great Cannabis Debate or something of that nature. And Joe Rogan actually has a guest on who's very pro medical cannabis, who is 25 plus years, and then another guest who has written books about that THC and there's cautions and you should be doing this, and it's just kind of a open debate about it. And I think the overall message that I took away from it is that as much as we're excited about cannabis and hemp and everything, as far as the different CBD, I think there also needs to be an explanation that it's not this great cure-all for everything. There needs to be other application, whether it's your diet, whether it's your exercise, all those things to wellness, and the CBD or medical cannabis, that's just one token of that application to better health. It's not all those things. And I think that's something that people need to hear and understand.
So agree with that. I happen to be a naturalist, a homeopath. So, not that I'm against pharmaceuticals, that's just not my first course of action. That's more like in case of emergency, break glass.
Yep.
I firmly believe you need chiropractic care that keeps all of your nerves and sending the right information in. Your diet, like you said, you have to fuel the body correctly. Your environment, all the pollutants and toxins and all that. Having those simple little things that people consider luxuries, and spa days, massages, reflexology, all that stuff is highly beneficial, medicinal. It's very good for your body. Hey, if you don't mind me interrupting myself.
It's yourself, so go right ahead.
Cal Lawrence, he is the artist who was featured in October issue of Harvest Plume. So he's the one who did the John Lennon and the Bob Marley, and there are more.
Those were awesome. By the way, those were fantastic. Absolutely.
And I get little peeks on the backside, and there are some more that I want to say, but I can't.
Okay.
But let's just say it's awesome.
Cal, we won't let Kim have any spoilers for your work. Not today. Maybe another day.
No, but I will say, if you don't mind me, I'm going to go to.
No, go for it. Yeah.
They're having an event. There it is. They're at Bud's Cannabis Company in McAlester, Oklahoma on the 26th. And, now I have to get back to you. Hold on. There we go. So yeah, if you're in the area, then show up at Bud's in McAlester.
And it's BUDZ? Or
hold on here. It is. No, BUDS.
Okay, Bud's McAlester.
Bud's Cannabis Company in McAlester, Oklahoma.
Okay, let's see if we can bring this up so that way. And it's their Facebook page?
Actually,
are you looking?
No, it's he just. This is Damon Wilson is Cal, or his name is David Cal Lawrence. Um, Damon is the artist's manager. So he and I were chatting, and he said, "Oh yeah, he would love to be on this. Both of them would love to be on the podcast, but they are slammed for the rest of the year. All these art events, and as you can imagine, people shopping for their holiday gifts.
Right, right.
And who wouldn't want one of Cal's pieces? It's so beautiful."
Yeah, he threw up a message for us, and I'll throw it up here. I will have all new art no one has seen. Yay! How exciting! Yeah, Cal, if whenever time permits, would love to have you on to share your work, your bio, how you got started. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, he and Damon are very, very interesting. I love following them and talking to them on Facebook.
Yeah, yeah, very cool, very cool. Kim, what else is on your radar? Anything else?
It's for me, it's just all these housekeeping issues. It's the end of the year. From the pipeline strategies perspective, I'm working on, I call it the last quarter stretch. So it's that what you want in a marketing package for that last quarter, just to keep your name out there and people to say, "Oh, I want to click on this."
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing logo reveals and explainer vids, intro, all the marketing side.
Nice.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I told a couple of friends, Jamie and Michelle from the Hemp Industries Association, that I would plug an event for the Midwest. Do you mind?
Please do.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Because then that may go on my calendar. We'll
Okay,
have to
great.
make
Yeah,
sure I get
would love if you could make it in town for us. So again, just want to share that in the Midwest there is a major event that's coming up. It's called Hemp at the Crossroads, and it is going to be November 16th and 17th. So Kim, there's plenty of time to book your airlines and your hotels and all that information. So they have a great event set up. So the agenda for the event is there's going to be an opening day. The day before the event, there's going to be kind of a cocktail reception, which is on the Friday night, and then Saturday they're going to be breaking it down into several guest speakers who are going to be talking specifically about the industry as it relates to CBD, to growing, also information regarding testing, just a catch up, if you will, for things that are current. And I spoke wrong. That cocktail event is Saturday night. And then Sunday, November the 17th, there's going to be hemp business planning. So there's going to be several, group participants, the legislative side of things that are happening here in Indianapolis. But by all means, this is more of like a Midwest event. And they're working hard to really help educate and spread awareness around hemp and its applications, what's going on. So there is booth space available, and then also sponsorship as well. So please do me a favor, check it out. Again, that's hempatthecrossroads.com. Check it out. And again, there's tickets available. So please sign up and attend this event. I will be there as well as some of my business partners as well. So check it out. Time and Kim would love to have you in town as well if you're available.
Thank you. I'll see what I can do, but I will definitely get this. Thanks for letting me know. Put this on I have an interactive map in Harvest and Plume for all the events. Well, all the events I know about. So I'll make sure I get that in there.
Yeah, I told Jamie and Michelle, because they are just so busy, kind of like Cal, like they're always something going on and everything. And I'm like, hey, I'll get you in to promote and we'll talk about the event and everything, because they can obviously speak to it much better than I can. But they're just extremely busy. But maybe prior to that day, gosh, it's November 16th and 17th, a while back, that seemed like far away, but we're already October 24th. So that's just right around the corner.
It is. We're almost at the point of those, I don't even know, what is it, Southwest or one of those commercials where they say you need to get away, like really quick.
Yes.
Oh my, it's the middle of November. We gotta go.
Yeah. And I've been, gosh, yeah. And the unfortunate part is once ever we get to that October point is then we start thinking about the cold season and everything. And I have my background is a sunny, like nice sky and everything, because this is how I fake it until I make it. If I can't live in those nice climates, I might as well fake it.
We had 6 inches of snow last night, so I'm all bundled up.
You can keep it. How's that? Kim, do me a favor. Could you please share for our listeners, please, how they can learn more about your work, plug your site, and how they can learn more about your work with the cannabis sessions, and then also with the Harvest and Plume.
Thank you. My primary brand is thepipelinestrategies.com, and the same for all of the social media. Well, I'm sorry. For Twitter, it's Your Recruiting Pro, at Your Recruiting Pro. But all the others are at the Pipeline Strategies. And then Harvest and Plume is at Harvest and, not the ampersand, and Plume. And the Canna Sessions.
Awesome. Very cool. And again, this is Carlos, aka CJ, and you can follow my work over at rogue420.net. It's kind of a one-stop shop for all news and information related to the industry. So there's some streams there that are basically RSS feeds that automatically pipe in. So you can find out about the advocacy. There's information regarding cannabis, industry news as well, hemp news. So it's kind of like I said, a one-stop shop. And again, want to thank our sponsors, Harvest and Plume, Cannabis Oklahoma Magazine, and then some of our brands that are our sponsors as well, which is Cloud by Design and MyCP Edibles. And do us a favor as well, because all of our podcasts that we do here on social media, Facebook, we carry over to our YouTube channel as well. And we'll get to the point that we'll start putting these on our YouTube channels, both of our YouTube channels, so we have that data there. But when you do visit there, please like, share, subscribe, and give us a thumbs up for our podcast. And that's pretty much what I have to share today, Kim. So any closing thoughts before we close this session out?
Just a real quickie. I love the interactive with the chats and stuff. So everyone who's watching, will you please, for next week, bring more people and be more interactive with us, please?
Yeah, we do this. Yeah, exactly. Because we do this podcast every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 o'clock Central. After 6 weeks of doing it, I finally have the time right.
I know you talk to people on so many different time zones.
Yeah, but it's always fun. And Kim, I always enjoy our conversation. So thank you so much. And for our listeners, please like, share, and subscribe. And this has been another Speaking Bluntly podcast with Kim and Carlos of the Cannabis Sessions and also Harvest and Plume Magazine. Kim, thank you so much. And we'll be back next Thursday.
Thursday,
yes. All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.